My ex-mother-in-law sent her church friends to harass my daughters and me. I have now exposed her family to her church community, and she is being shamed and shunned at church. I, a 46-year-old female, have daughters who are 17 and 15 years old. They have a strained relationship with my ex-husband's parents, a 78-year-old male and an 80-year-old female. My ex-husband passed away in an accident last year, and we have had significant family drama since then, due to his cheating and leaving 2 boys, born to his affair partner, orphaned. The affair partner also died. Part of the drama involves my ex-in-laws trying to gain custody of my daughters and attempting to live with us. The first issue is being addressed in court, and the second will never happen. Where we live, there is a weekend market with fresh produce, eggs, meats, and other products directly from farmers. This week was particularly special because it was my youngest daughter's birthday. Since her party is later this month, I decided to give her a budget and let her explore the market to buy whatever she wanted, mostly chocolate and sweets. After an hour, I began to worry, and just before I called her, she called me, crying, saying some strange people had cornered her. I ran to her with my eldest daughter and found 6 older women berating my youngest daughter for being unchristian, for refusing to spend time with her paternal grandparents, or for not wanting to be a good big sister to her poor orphaned baby brothers. My daughters discovered my ex-husband's cheating and the existence of the babies, so they are not fond of the children. This is a source of trauma, and they are working with a therapist. I stepped between the group and my daughter, instructing my eldest to pay for her sister's items and go to the car. Then I confronted the women, some of whom I recognized from attending my ex-in-law's church, and gave them a piece of my mind. They told me I was worse for refusing to obey my ex-in-laws like a good Christian wife. Disgusting. Eventually, the shouting became too loud, and we were all asked to leave the market. I met my daughters in the car, with the women following me like a group of vultures. I managed to get into the car and drive away. After my daughters went to bed, I went online to speak with another member of that church with whom I am on good terms. I told him about the incident and, after he apologized, he explained what was happening. My ex-mother-in-law had posted a lengthy story in the church's Facebook group about how terrible my daughters and I are, claiming we are leaving her and her husband homeless and penniless, despite them inheriting my ex-husband's personal bank account and life insurance. She also said my daughters refused to speak to them and accused us of being the reason she lost her grandsons. The boys are now living with distant relatives of my ex-husband. It was essentially a sob story worthy of a Hallmark movie, and she received love and support from the more extremist members of her church. This church and its members can be annoying, especially regarding LGBTQ+ topics, but they have one redeeming quality. They are extremely strict about cheating. It is a significant taboo, whether committed by a husband or a wife. So how did my ex-mother-in-law avoid blaming me for the affair children without exposing the cheating? She claimed the other woman was our surrogate because I was unable to have more children, then said I did not want the babies because they were boys. This accusation is utterly disgusting. I decided it was time to set things right, and since I was in the middle of a divorce when my ex-husband died, I had all the evidence needed. Because the divorce was not finalized, I face no legal repercussions for releasing this evidence. The next day, I was off work and went to a print shop to make copies of all the incriminating evidence. Photographs of my ex-husband cheating, his text conversations with his affair partner, messages from his parents confessing to his cheating and supporting him, my ex-in-laws harassing me about the divorce, and the final blow, all the emails and text messages of them bullying my daughters about their baby brothers. In one message, they called my daughters bastards and said it was their fault their father died because they told me about the affair, prompting the divorce. This message was sent just 2 days after my ex-husband's death. I paid extra to have everything printed on high-quality paper. At home, I spent hours creating personalized binders that resembled the prayer song packets distributed at the church for singing hymns. The first image in each binder showed my ex-husband and his affair partner kissing in our living room. Their faces were clearly identifiable, and the woman looked nothing like me, with different skin tones and hair color. Below, I wrote ex-husband's name and affair partner's name, love story. I took the bonders to the church before the service and placed them on a desk in the back where songbooks are kept for those who need or forget their own. The desk is never checked. The gossip spread quickly and harshly. The names my ex-husband and his affair partner were called on the church's Facebook page were so severe that the pastor had to intervene to keep things relatively appropriate. People were furious at my ex-in-laws for their mistreatment of my daughters, but I found it amusing that I was still considered wrong for pursuing the divorce. However, they said it was understandable that I failed in my duties after the shock, and I might one day return to the light, unlike my cheating husband and his Jezebel. They used another word I cannot repeat here. I received 2 apology letters in the mail for my daughters and an invitation to join the church for support. As for my ex-in-laws, they were shamed into leaving the church. My ex-mother-in-law posted on her Facebook wall about how alienated she feels and how no one cares for the elderly anymore. She wished her great son was still alive, claiming he would have taken care of her and her husband. With what money, I do not know, since I was the primary breadwinner. Regarding the will, my ex-husband had a will naming his parents as beneficiaries. As far as I knew, he had told me our daughters were the beneficiaries, not them. I never insisted on being the beneficiary myself, as my own will names my daughters as beneficiaries, not him. Write what you think about this story, and we'll move on to the next one. The Homeowners Association President's Long Goodbye. This post is on behalf of a friend who is not on Reddit. This is for you, Jake. When I moved into my suburban neighborhood, I expected peace and quiet. Instead, I walked into a petty dictatorship run by our Homeowners Association president, Todd. Todd was the worst kind of leader, the kind who loved power but hated accountability. He enforced ridiculous rules, like fining people $200 for leaving their trash cans out a minute past 9 in the morning, but blatantly ignored the rules when it suited him. His own yard was a mess of unpermitted structures, and his fence was taller than allowed by city ordinances. But Todd's true sin? Using the Homeowners Association as his personal piggyback. At first, I tried reasoning with him. My fence was slightly off color because the approved stain was not available, and he fined me $500. I explained, provided receipts, and asked for leniency. Todd smirked, said, "Rules are rules," and walked away. That is when I decided I would take him down, not with screaming or public arguments, but methodically, legally, and in a way he would never recover from. Step 1. Become the inside man. Todd's first mistake was underestimating me. I volunteered for the Homeowners Association board under the guise of wanting to get involved in the community. I played the part of the eager, naive newbie perfectly. For 2 years, I attended every meeting, quietly observing how Todd operated. I learned he controlled the board by bullying other members and burying them in paperwork. He would push through votes when only his allies were present, and conveniently lose paperwork submitted by dissenting homeowners. I kept my head down, took detailed notes, and waited. My goal was to outlast his term as president, so I could begin making changes. Then I discovered Todd's second mistake. He was not just a bully, he was a thief. Step 2. Follow the money. Todd loved to brag about how he kept the Homeowners Association's finances in order. But something did not add up. The annual Homeowners Association fees were high, much higher than in similar neighborhoods, but the common areas were falling apart. The pool was closed half the summer due to maintenance issues, and the landscaping looked like it had not been touched in months. I started digging. As the Homeowners Association treasurer, Todd had access to all the accounts, but he was notoriously cagey about sharing financial details. I asked for the budget during a meeting, and Todd laughed it off, saying, "Don't worry, I've got it under control." I filed a formal request for the financial records, which, under Homeowners Association rules, he was required to provide. Weeks went by with no response. That is when I started talking to neighbors. It turns out I was not the only one suspicious. Over a dozen homeowners had requested access to the budget over the years, only to be ignored. One neighbor claimed Todd had used Homeowners Association funds to install a new patio at his house, while another swore he had seen Todd's children at the community pool during its maintenance closure. Armed with these suspicions, I filed a formal complaint with the Homeowners Association, forcing Todd to provide the records. He stalled, but I was not backing down. Step 3. Build the case. When Todd finally handed over the financial documents, they were a mess. Invoices were missing, payments were mislabeled, and some expenses were downright bizarre. A $15,000 landscaping fee paid to a company that did not exist? Thousands spent on administrative costs with no explanation. I cross-referenced the Homeowners Association's bank statements with public records and found the smoking gun. Todd was funneling money to his personal accounts. Even better, I discovered Todd had been inflating contractor fees, pocketing the difference, and splitting the profits with his friend, a shady contractor who handled most of the Homeowners Association's maintenance. I compiled everything into a detailed report, complete with spreadsheets, photos, and notarized statements from neighbors who had seen Todd's antics firsthand. Step 4. The coup. I waited for the annual Homeowners Association meeting, which was typically a dull affair attended by only a handful of homeowners. But this time, I made sure people showed up. I spent weeks knocking on doors, explaining what Todd had been up to. I did not share everything, just enough to get people angry and curious. On the night of the meeting, the room was packed. Todd started the meeting like usual, droning on about how difficult it was to manage the Homeowners Association and how much he had sacrificed for the community. That is when I stood up. I calmly asked if he could explain some discrepancies in the budget. Todd laughed nervously and said, "I don't think this is the time or place." I replied, "Actually, Todd, it is the perfect time." I handed out copies of my report to everyone in the room. The mood shifted instantly. People started reading, whispering, and then shouting. Todd tried to regain control, but it was too late. I called for a vote to remove him as president. By the end of the night, Todd was out. Step 5. The final blow. After Todd was removed, we hired an independent auditor to go through the Homeowners Association's finances. They confirmed everything. Todd had embezzled over $50,000, mismanaged tens of thousands more, and committed multiple counts of fraud. We reported him to the police and filed a civil lawsuit to recover the stolen funds. But it didn't end there. Todd's shady contractor friend was also exposed and banned from doing business in the county. Todd had to sell his house to pay restitution and legal fees. His name became a running joke in the neighborhood, and no one would touch him professionally. With Todd gone, we restructured the Homeowners Association to prevent another dictator from taking over. We implemented term limits, required multiple board members to approve financial decisions, and created an online portal so all homeowners could access budgets and meeting minutes. The aftermath. Every time I walk past Todd's old house, now owned by a lovely family, I smile. The pool is open, the landscaping is beautiful, and the Homeowners Association fees are lower than ever. Todd, meanwhile, moved to a neighboring town where he reportedly tried to join another Homeowners Association board, only to be laughed out of the room when someone searched his name online. Justice was not just served, it was plated, garnished, and savored. Write what you think about this situation. Also, if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.